Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Wednesday morning and it's another busy day in the true crime world. Yesterday we had Richard Allen in court for the first time and that's what we're going to talk about today. But later on, Leilani Simon, Quinton Simon's mother, has her arraignment. And then later today, there is a press conference for the Idaho student murders. So I'll be covering both of those. So stand by for further information on that at the end of the video. So today, though, I want to talk about Richard Allen's court appearance and what his attorney said afterwards, because quite rightly, I think people who've covered this case have focused on what the prosecutor said about there being more than one person involved, or their belief is that there's more than one person involved, and that's one of the reasons why they wanted to keep the probable cause affidavit sealed. I did find that interesting because in a radio interview that Doug Carter, the chief superintendent, law enforcement officer, said that releasing the probable cause affidavit wouldn't influence the investigation in a negative manner. So it's interesting to see the juxtaposition between law enforcement, or at least Doug Carter, and the prosecutor. Is that a bluff from the prosecutors? I don't think so. I think there could be, or at least the prosecutors, based on the investigation to date, think that there could be. So I wonder whether they're still trying to find a Klein connection. It's just too uncanny, too coincidental for Kegan Kline to have spoken to Libby on the very day of the murders. If it turns out that there's absolutely no connection whatsoever between them, then that is the coincidence to end all coincidences. Or do they have someone else in the frame who will come out of left field just like Richard Allen did? It remains to be seen. Could be a complete bluff. Could be a complete bluff. And there's no one else involved. Or it turns out that they thought there was, and there isn't. And Richard Allen acted like a lone wolf. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Mr. Nice Guy turned brutal killer. I must admit though, I thought it was satisfying seeing Richard Allen walk into court. And I played this on my live yesterday and some people said he walks like Bridge Guy. He does. Now, he had shackles on, apparently, on his feet, so maybe that influenced his walk. I don't know. And the amount of people waiting outside to get into the court was, it's a lot of people. A lot of people. Watching him come out of court, I found equally satisfying. Just the look on his face. Just let him come out here. The look on his face says it all. Just that split second that you see his face. Here he comes. Here he comes. There. I've got a blown up shot of that. Does that look like a man who's got the weight of the world on his shoulders? Is that because he thought he was high and dry, would never get caught? He thought that the cops had just completely passed him by. The long arm of the law stretches very far. But they didn't have to stretch very far for Richard Allen because he was local. He was there all the time, hidden in plain sight. That is, of course, if he's guilty. His lawyer doesn't seem to think so. Now, Richard has two lawyers, but it's this guy that I want to focus on here. I think he made a blunder. Now, I don't know what you think. Let me know in the comments. But I think he blundered here. So let's play it and then see what you think. The volume's up as high as it'll go. And it is a little bit kind of, you know, the backgrounds are noisy. So listen carefully.
When you say this would help you to get it out, how would that help?
Well, you never know what person out there might read something and it might ring a bell. It might cause them to point the finger in the direction of the actual killer. This whole business of the two people being involved, the conjecture from the prosecutor today was new information for us. I've been on this case, folks, for 6 days. So I don't know a whole lot. We have not seen the evidence, and another person involved. I mean, that's new news. So
That's not reflected in the PCA?
not the PCA that I read.
So he said that he's not aware of a second person being involved, but he's only been on the case for 6 days. Great. So he's admitting he doesn't know very much. Great. That's probably true. The probable cause affidavit, he says, doesn't cover another person. Well, that might be why Doug Carter said that releasing the probable cause affidavit wouldn't affect the investigation, because they've not included that. The prosecution isn't going to show their hand. So I'm a little bit surprised that the prosecutor actually used that in court. But this lawyer here says, doesn't know anything about the case. Let's carry on.
Do
you have any information about the potential involvement of Keating Clyde in this case?
I have no information about that.
Why do you think it's important for the public to see this probable cause affidavit?
Again, I think it's important because somebody might read something, a line about, you're going to see maybe about a vehicle or about a person or about a time frame, and it might ring a bell, something that they hadn't thought of before. And when they read that, then they can contact us as his lawyers. We're getting lots of information from lots of people across the country, especially locally. We don't know what is hoaxes. We don't know what's true. We don't know if it's a podcaster's, opportunity to get in the limelight. We don't know what's real, but we're going to look at every single person that contacts us. We're going to contact them. Everybody.
Getting lots of tips in, but he doesn't know whether it's just a podcaster trying to get themselves in the limelight. So a reference there to social media perhaps, and the theories that social media have had. Maybe it's a subtle invitation for podcasters to get in touch, to put themselves in the limelight. But he said that if they read the probable cause affidavit, which of course he wants unsealed, that mention of a vehicle or a person might trigger them to remember something. Well, I thought he said that there was no mention of any other people in the probable cause affidavit. So what's he talking about there? That doesn't make sense. Let's carry on.
And we're going to figure out if what they know is helpful.
What, if anything, has your client, Richard Allen, said this has impacted him and or his family?
Obviously, this has impacted Richard and his family tremendously. I mean, his wife is just a wonderful person, and she loves her husband. They've been married for over 30 years. They were basically high school sweethearts.
So here is, Richard's been married for 30 years, Mr. Nice Guy. No idea why he would commit this brutal murder. He's been married, happily married. His wife's a wonderful person. They love each other very much. Childhood sweethearts, it's painting this picture to the public. Of course, that's his job. That's absolutely his job. Of course, he's going to say Richard's innocent. So listen to this.
They love each other, and she fully supports him, but it is devastating. She's scared. She doesn't want to leave her house. She did leave her house. She, thankfully, is in a little bit better place than she was a month ago. But this is all new to them.
I have to say, I feel sorry for his wife. It might be all new to her, but he said all new to them. Yeah, being in the limelight might be new to him, because if he's guilty, allegedly, then, of course, he thought he'd flown right under the radar and would never get caught.
Can you say anything about why investigators are focused on your client?
You guys will read the probable cause affidavit, and you may wonder why they are focused on our client.
We haven't asked you the fundamental question.
So that's putting the idea of reasonable doubt into the public's mind, of course. Again, that's his job.
And that is, your client's the wrong guy?
Our client's the wrong guy.
And what's the main point that you hope the judge takes away from your argument today?
We have no is helpful.
What, if anything, has your client, Richard Allen, said this has impacted him and or his family?
Obviously, this has impacted Richard and his family tremendously. I mean, his wife is just a wonderful person, and she loves her husband. They've been married for over 30 years. They were basically high school sweethearts. They love. She, thankfully, is in a You may wonder why they are focused on our client.
The main point that you hope the judge takes away from your argument today.
We have nothing to hide, and transparency is important in government. It may be weird for defense lawyers, I suppose, to be arguing that we want things unsealed, but that's how confident we are in our client. That's how confident we are that the evidence contained in at least what's written in the probable cause affidavit.
So at least what's in the probable cause affidavit makes Richard the wrong guy, but prosecution haven't shown their hand. He hasn't seen the discovery. He hasn't seen where they're at. He's brand new to the case. So there's that.
There's nothing for us to worry about. We don't know what other evidence is out there, but we're confident.
There you go. We don't know what other evidence is out there. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? This guy, right? I know what he's trying to do, but this guy, he could have reworded this. He could have said, I'm brand new to the case, but we have reason to believe. We have reason to believe that the evidence will vindicate him. The words he used, like I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about Ken Klein. I don't know anything about the investigation. I'm brand new. Well, shut up then until you know more. I know he's doing his job, but guy, think about the words you use. Who am I? Who am I to say? This is just my opinion, obviously. Maybe he's trying to come across as likable and I know as much as you guys and trying to get himself liked by the public so that the things that he says when it comes to trial, people will listen to him. Maybe that's his angle here.
That whatever is out there is not going to be enough to show that our client did anything here. He's confused. He's bewildered. Rick, you guys all call him Richard. He actually goes by Rick. Rick is bewildered. He's confused. He has no idea why this is going on. How can an innocent man...
He's no idea why this is going on. Okay, yeah, all right.
...be accused of a crime like this and have their life upended? That's the kind of stuff that we've talked about with him. And the same can be said for his wife. How can an innocent man be charged, accused, and basically convicted in the court of public opinion is what they say. But what I said to him is, there's plenty of people out there that are supporting you, and we're getting a lot of calls from a lot of people that don't believe that Rick is the guy.
Should Judge Frank...
Getting a lot of calls from people who believe he isn't the guy. So here we're putting reasonable doubt into the public's mind that there's actually a lot of people supporting him. Don't listen to what you hear in the court of public opinion. There's a lot of people supporting him, we know. They may have had absolutely zero calls, for all we know.
Friend will keep these documents sealed. How do you guys proceed?
Well, it's like my co-counsel Brad Rosie said, you cannot conduct a suppression issue in public without talking about the facts. Tiptoeing around the facts is going to be impossible. That's another really terrific reason why these documents need to be unsealed.
In America, you don't have to prove that somebody's the wrong guy. They have to prove he's the right guy. Could you just elaborate on why you say he's the wrong guy?
Well, again, I'm early on in this case. I've looked my client in the eye, and he's looked me in the eye, and he's told me what he's told me. I'm innocent. Thank you for helping me out. And we'll see what the evidence looks like. The PCA, the probable cause affidavit, we are not impressed.
Can you tell us more about what the prosecutor said regarding a second person who might be involved?
Well, that was news to us. So whoever was in that room listening to the prosecutor talk about a second person, that's news to us. I got to tell you, I don't know a whole lot about this case. I'm learning and learning and learning. There's people that have podcasts and all kinds of stuff that seemingly think that they know more about this case. And certainly, I'm glad that I'm coming into this case without a whole lot of knowledge about anything. I don't have any preconceived notions. I don't like to look at evidence with some preconceived notion of what it might mean. I don't know what anything means, but this second person business, that there's another person involved, I think somebody I had heard something on a podcast. Somebody had told me that there's a podcast or a news article that says something about that. There was somebody, you mentioned the name of somebody, I don't know who.
Keegan Klein.
Keegan Klein. I mean, you may think I'm, an attorney. How do I not know who Keegan Klein is? I've heard the name, but I don't know who Keegan Klein is. I don't know if that might be the guy that did. I don't know. I don't know anything about anything other than, I got a guy here who says he's innocent. All right. And what I would say a very flimsy probable cause affidavit. Those are the two things that I do know.
Do you think they don't with the probable cause release because
That is bizarre. That was a bizarre set of sentences right there. Was that a blunder? I think it is. Personally, just my opinion, I think that is a blunder. Saying, literally, I don't know anything about anything, and Richard is innocent because he told me so. That's nuts to say as an attorney. He should have stopped talking, in my opinion, when he said the prosecution haven't given us anything. So, we've got reason to believe he's innocent based on the evidence we've got. He just carried on talking there and should have shut his mouth. I don't know anything about anything. Oh, I don't know who Keegan Klein is. Oh, a podcast knows more than I do. Oh, I watched this podcast. It's like he's appealing to the podcasters to get in touch and to support him. This might be the line he's going through here. These podcasters and YouTubers who think they know more, subtly saying, make a name for yourself and get them on board. The court of public opinion might swing the other way then, because I don't know anything about anything. Maybe that's what he's up to. Maybe he's clever and that's what he's up to. Or is it a blunder? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. I've been Michelle. Hope you're well. See you in the next video. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. So, like I said right at the beginning, I'll be covering Leilani Simon's arraignment today. So I'll be live over on Michelle Walks later on. And then this evening, my time, I'll be on this channel, Michelle After Dark, covering the press conference for the Idaho student murder. So it's a very busy day for me today. So I better go get this edited before I've got to go live. Bye, guys.